been part of such discussions. I have said several times, like I said about self-defense, that almost 30 years in the trenches gave me an understanding of the beast I was dealing with. I understood we were living under an autocratic system that believed in the power of its military. I saw how John Frundi was treated, how Gorgie Dinka, the Abe Mukongs were all treated. And I believe from the beginning that if we arm our people, it will give us a fighting chance. And if negotiations will come, we will talk from a position of strength. Mr. Biya declared war on us. When the issues of negotiation started, we met within the AGOVC. We understand how negotiations work. I did law in my PhD. Remember, I told you I was admitted in Boya's computer and mathematics student. How did I move from the sciences into doing law? I fought in Germany for the right of refugees so hard. We were together. I ended up in jail for 30 days. I took Germany to court. Right to the highest court, the constitutional court. I didn't have money to pay the lawyer. The lawyer said, look, I can't go for it. I went into the website, the European Convention of Human Rights. I started reading, studying it. I've been a human rights activist, student of Abel Moko. I wrote an application to the European institution, appealing the decision of the German Constitutional Court. I was surprised. About 2 months later, that decision was granted. And I called my lawyer and said, I wrote to this court and I put all the deposition from the small court to the highest court. I decided I was going to leave Germany to study human rights, to be able to have an understanding of the human rights regime, political regime, and institutional regime. It's a difficult journey, where there were times where there was no space to even sleep. Sleeping in
Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence.
When you look at the pictures on the left, you see Siseko, Ayuk, Tabe, and others. We have more than 3,000 Ambazonians locked up in the prisons of Cameroon. The shame of Africa is not only because we sat and watched our heroes murdered, it's because we collaborated with those who killed our own warriors, the Thomas Sankaras, the Patrice Lumumbas. And that Nigeria could collaborate with the tyranny of Cameroon to kidnap our own leaders, transport them to Yaoundé, kept them incommunicado for more than a year, tortured them psychologically, brought a lot of pain on their family, put them through a kangaroo trial in the night, sentenced them to life in jail. It's a slap on the face of every living Ambazonian. That is why we have said we must match Cameroon method for method. Fight them in every inch of our homeland, because they don't understand dialogue. They don't understand negotiations, because the weapons they deploy in the occupation of our homeland is that of brute force. In the past years, we put in place a well-refined strategy because we realized occupation was predicated on political governance without your consent. We realized occupation was predicated on economic exploitation. That is why we taught our defense forces to shatter the myth around Cameroon's invincibility, because Cameroon believed it was powerful to subdue us for more than 50 years, and it will be able to subdue us for the next 50 years. We shattered their invincibility when they declared war on us. We took the war to them. We fought them block by block, inch by inch, rooftop by rooftop, backside by backside. We made them to understand this generation is not the generation you can mess up with. That we have studied the occupier and we understand them. And we aren't gonna blink until the last forces of Cameroon are bundled out of our homeland. And we aren't gonna forgive and forget. We aren't gonna forgive and forget. There will be accountability, and we will hold all those murderers and rapists and bring them to justice. And I have made a solemn promise to our people. Even if Mr. Biya dies, we will search for his grave, exhume his body, bring his bones to our court, and try him for murder and genocide against our people. This is not the generation that will forgive and forget. All of our resources that have been stolen, we will search for them and bring them back in our homeland to give our people a fair shot in this world.
Hail this land of glory, we the Amazonians, special loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who fought along we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Revolutionary greetings, my fellow Ambazonians, on this 16th day of November in the year of our Lord 2024. On any given day, I can hold a document like this in my hands. If you guys can see it, 3 killed, 16 wounded. You can see the image of a colonial terrorist and occupation force firing on a protest by Ambazonians. You can see that, if you can see it clearly. On any given day, this is the story of Ambazonia. You could look at this and you think that this is a story of today, but this is November 2nd, 2001. 3 killed. Those 3 that lost their life. That's just one little part of Ambazonia. The 3 that lost their life was Boniface Lega, a 60-year-old man from Shi village, a rice farmer, Amidu Belswika, 28-year-old from Bear village. All of those are in Jakiri sub division, and a 19-year-old video club operator, Saiwibin Terence Sela of Tanver. So this is a massacre of a people that had been going on since the 1960s, and we just decided to fight back. Revolutionary greetings once again, my fellow Ambazonians, all una place day from our captives in the dungeons of La République du Cameroon, in their land, in Yaoundé, and all over our territory, una place day. To our refugees in the bushes, in refugee camps, internally displaced, una place day. To our liberation fighters, all who bear arms in defense of our land, so that this doesn't go uncontested, these killings doesn't go uncontested. These soldiers who stand between genocides and our people, between the horrors that visit our villages and our villagers, you, the best and bravest of us fighters of Ambazonia, soldiers of Ambazonia, una place them day. My fellow Ambazonians, this briefing, this address today is dedicated to all those who bear guns honestly in the defense of our people, in the defense of our land. But before going to that, in recognition of their effort in the field, in combating these forms of terrorism, I want to recognize the fighting forces and their accomplishments this past weeks in the field. In Abui military district, the Amazonian Defense Forces have been in serious battles, major battles with the enemy forces, the forces of occupation. Battles around the Ndonga area that resulted in multiple casualties on the enemy forces. La République deployed helicopter gunships, bringing in reinforcements and carrying out the deaths from that region. I want to especially send my thanks and congratulations to the mission commanders, to the Brigadier General of Abui military district, with their barracks, with his area of control in the Ndonga border region. I want to send my special congratulations to them. And to our forces who undertook the mission that cleared out the La République control and torture post at Filiminyang. The mission commander for that mission and General Bush, Major General Bush, who now cafe day up for such a wonderful mission that sent a message of our unconquerable spirit to La République du Cameroon. that tells the world that no matter what obstacles you put in our place, the children of Ambazonian will not be massacred without a response anymore. There will be no easy access for the genociders in our land. There will be no rest for the wicked. So for these generals and major generals and commanders of the forces of Ambazonia who have been in major battles this past couple of weeks in the Bui military district at our border region, and the skirmishes that have taken place in Momo, in Meme, and in Mezam, and also within the Bui military district, I want to send the thanks of a grateful nation to you. We recognize your sacrifice. We owe you guys, all of you, a debt that can never, ever be repaid. I know that for the past 72 hours, our forces in Mezam, especially the Allah action zone, has been under a lot of pressure with battles and La République du Cameroon doing everything in their power to capture and kill our liberation fighters. To the major generals and brigadiers in Mezam, I understand the difficulties of the terrain that you fight in. You guys are basically urban fighters. But that this week, this past 72 hours, we have not had any casualties. I want to recognize your leadership and the principles by which you stick by, and which the defense forces have put in place to secure the forces. Keep doing your job, but send a message to La République du Cameroon. We want to see that message in the dead bodies of the terrorists who terrorize our land lying on the streets of our land. My fellow Ambazonians, today is an address to our liberation fighters. The issue that spurred this address will be played in just a moment before I address them. I want to say that the spirit of the leader of this revolution, Dr. Cho Ayaba, is a spirit of Ambazonia. The house in which his leg is planted is the Ambazonian Defense Forces. But as a true leader of Ambazonia, he never ever focused only on the Ambazonian Defense Forces. His door, his offices were always open to every single liberation fighter who was genuine in defending Ambazonia. So his arrest has not been easy. And I will ask for the audio to be played so that you hear from the force's mouth before my address specifically to our liberation fighters.
Yes, salute house. And I just congratulate everybody with the house. Bro, I do with you. Yeah, me what to talk now, so I never been an ADF. I never been ADF. But I dey always talk say not criticize some man for thing we use as a benefit do am. Nothing that my contribution I don't always give am, I don't always give am for this house. because people they do it all the time. They didn't have to talk about people. But which way they do I mean I don't always talk for you say well you know say your friend they do something correct it by action. I didn't mean ADF, but I want make we more understand say just for the fact say Ayabacho be now as a detainee, they don't bring a lot of weakness for the struggle for all the barracks, even the one the way maybe now will be ADF because time we when I for sure when I know say this man na commander and commander means say maybe head and then you the commander you did down any other person we na follower every week say hey if commander fit dey down it means say we would play na play and immediately they gonna be able to remove commander out of that place when I retreat. But if na any other soldier dey now when I feel movie as long as commander dey for fear IDC give command the fight go struggle when I go still continue. So whosoever we want believe or we no want believe Ayabachu being in prison for no way they no go kill the struggle and if he talks say go kill the struggle but it don't slow the struggle to an extent where it be almost to normalcy. I don't want to call other barracks their name, including my own barrack, who can be ADF. It's not really easy. I do wait for years, say these people don't even go do so, maybe they talk a lot of public don't sponsor them. I never see them. So it is not really easy. Person who want believe me believe, person who want believe may leave them. But still, a no get for bring winner in fighting. We'll join our heads together and see how if we march forward. It already been a thing. Better may one come, we don't shift them from the level we believe and go to another level. This talking no help we. We'll do what we needed. Because some of you they start talking a little for we need to contribute in nothing, but if we contribute for similar fight. Because words them some words they will put the carry down here instead bring a little fight. Then they bring no form of peace. But push done when we talk for we talk unity. Because with unity we will be strong. Just as they talk, see if you broke bamboo, you need to broke broom.
Sometimes the words of people cannot be interpreted because when you interpret the words, it takes away from the power of it. One of my most quoted speeches is the man in the arena. It is the man in the arena who undergoes the trials, who is sweating and the blood, sweating sweat and blood and all of that. They are the ones who understand. They are the front lines. And so it was very important that my address to the forces opens with the voice from a man in the arena. You can quote him in many instances. The arrest of the leader of the revolution, it don't bring a lot of weakness in the struggle. So, to my fellow liberation fighters, today I speak to you not only as a fellow fighter, but as a voice echoing the hopes and dreams of our people who look to us with unwavering faith. We stand today at a crossroads, a moment fraught with challenges, yet I believe filled with opportunities. We know that the road to freedom has never been easy. History reminds us of that fully every day. Every liberation movement faces moments of doubt, moments of hardship, and even moments of division. But what sets the victorious apart, what sets those who ultimately gain victory apart, is their ability to rise above adversity, to hold strongly to their shared vision, and to stand united. You don't have to believe me. Just believe the evidence of history. And let me quote some of them to you. Look at America today. America at this moment is the only superpower on earth. But do you know that America was where we are today? Let me just quote you some of what they went through to emerge. Just a couple of hundred years of years later, as the greatest power the world had ever seen. In 1776, the American lost New York after the British defeated General George Washington's Continental Army in the Battle of Long Island. It was a demoralizing defeat for the Americans, losing New York. In 1777 to 1778, at Valley Forge in Pennsylvania, George Washington's Continental Army suffered. They suffered starvation, death, extreme cold. There were desertion within their ranks. Death and desertion. But they held firm. And if you think that those were bad, that those defeats were bad, there is Charleston, the siege at Charleston, where the British captured over 5,000 American liberation fighters. An American general, Benedict Arnold, planned to surrender West Point to the British. A traitor, an internal enabler. West Point, you guys know what West Point hold for the American Marine today, for the American military today, when you hear about West Point. So from defeats that capture huge city like New York to 5,000 soldiers being captured, to their own general surrendering a military post to the enemy, the Americans emerged from such despairing situations to win their independence. We can think about the Eritreans. If we go about the situation of the Eritreans, note that Ethiopia annexed Eritrea in 1962, kicking off their own liberation struggle, right? That is 10 years before La République formally annexed us. Ethiopia, the Derg regime of Ethiopia instituted a scorched-earth policy. What we are going through, they have burned over 800 of our villages, my fellow fighters. Ethiopia also instituted a scorched-earth policy in Eritrea that burned their villages, put their people in concentration camps. The Eritreans, you have the Eritrean Liberation Front and the Eritrean People's Liberation Front. Those were two groups that even fought open warfare amongst themselves, internal fighting. In 1978, the Soviet Union, then there were two superpowers, the Soviet Union and the Americans, the Western Bloc. The Soviet Union backed an offensive by the Ethiopian army in 1978 that resulted in the fall of the Sahel front, right? That offensive captured all of the major Eritrean towns, their urban area like Massawa, Asmara, all of those major towns, and the EPLF and the EFL lost all those major cities and moved into remote areas in 1978. And if you think that we are isolated, internationally, they were also isolated. As all the world powers, all the world nations back Ethiopia. They backed Ethiopia for strategic reasons, both the East and the West, against Eritrea. My fellow fighters, a people united can never be defeated, no matter what losses they take in the battlefield. Nobody can defeat you in the land of your birth, so long as you stand, and you stand united, and you know where you are going. I know how devastating it was to get up and you hear that the CIC has been arrested, captured by enablers of genocide, because that is what Norway is. They are enabling the genocide of Ambazonia. And our people will never, ever forget the role that Norway and all those who are trying to cripple the Ambazonian liberation movement, our people will never ever forget the role that they play in supporting La République in the genocide of our people. And whether now or the next generation or the generation after that, those nations will pay for what they have done in our land. But today, my concern is you, our fighters. As I said, I know for a fact that the CIC had worked not just with the Ambazonian Defense Forces, but with a lot of you in the ground. His door has always been open. I have been more concerned and focused on the Ambazonian Defense Forces. And for the past 2 months, while we have focused and make sure that in terms of leadership, in terms of cohesion, in terms of the maintenance of the chain of command of the ADF has been strong and is strong, and that there has been no slippage in the offensive of the liberation struggle, the role that the CIC had played in its outreach to the other liberation movement has been neglected. And for that, we are sorry. Very sorry. We will do better in our outreach, because there is only one way that we are going to gain victory: as a people united against the evil that has infested our land. That is the only way we are going to get victory. So, my fellow fighters, while we have received this blow, let us not forget the central core of the liberation struggle, that it is block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, that has been the foundation of the liberation struggle. Because when one block weakens, it exposes the next block. It puts the next block at risk. So we are our brothers' keepers. We cover their backs. All for one, one for all. If the barracks of the mountain lion is weakened, that exposes the barracks of the Ambazonian Defense Forces FACO Brigade. And if the barracks of General Mad Dog is weakened, that exposes the barracks of Brigadier Iwan. So each block is as important in the nomenclature of the liberation struggle as the next, even if we are not all under the same umbrella. So no barracks at this particular moment, especially with the absence of the leadership of the CIC, should forget the principles on which we are fighting for, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. My fellow fighters, we have three bedrock principles of the revolution. I know that there might be despair or a lack of direction or a sense of where we are going with the absence of the outreach of the CIC. But before he was taken, after it was taken, the mission has not changed. The bedrock principles, the foundation of the liberation has not changed. We are going to increase the economic cost of occupation, which means that the target of the pillars that La République has instituted in our land to extort, to finance their wars and their own development, to line their pockets to the detriment of our people, all of those economic structures are in our liberation war. So we increase that cost of occupation. No food trucks leaving our land goes to their land. Any economic activity that crosses the border is a legitimate target for the revolution because there is an ongoing economic embargo with La République du Cameroon. So every barrack, no matter how difficult or circumstances we find ourselves, those don't forget about it. We keep our block up. We keep the struggle on. We don't forget the principles of the struggle. 2, we disrupt their genocidal machine. Now, I know that with the arrest of the CIC, the deployment of FBI agent in my neighborhood and my home, my house, and the interrogation of others in the liberation movement, I know that there is a sense that we should avoid the words black leg or internal enablers or all of that. My fellow fighters, we are going to dismantle block by block, house by house, all the infrastructure of genocide La République has put in our territory. That includes the DOs offices, all of these offices, all of them. They are legitimate target in a war zone. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever seen America fighting a war with another country? Let us say the Americans are fighting the Germans, and the Americans have captured France from Germany. And then the Hitler, the German president, gets up in his seat and say that I have appointed a governor of France. I have appointed a DO in the northern region in Paris. And that is the DO's office in Paris to look after the administration of the Germans that facilitates the movement of German troops and German officials within the war zone in there. Do you think that the Americans will not send a cruise missile into that compound? That's a war zone. Are there any civilians that you appoint a civilian inside a war zone and is a civilian that facilitates your own opponent's war machine in your land? These people are mad if you think that we are not going to go after the black legs. We are not going to go after the enablers in a war zone. You can appoint them in La République. That's your business. But Ambazonia is at war. And there are no people, officials, that La République can appoint in a war zone to safeguard them, withdraw all of them. Because the machine of occupation is facilitated by these people. Their intelligence units in our neighborhoods are the ones that point out the homes that needs to be burned down, the villages that needs to be burned down. These are not civilians. They are war. They are part of La République's war machine in our land. I will stand in front of any court and defend our right as a people to take out the genocidal machine from top, those who wear military uniform, to the bottom, appointed in what is at this particular moment is a war zone, which is Ambazonia. So nobody should take any free rein. That because you don't wear an army uniform and you move around and you set intelligence units and spy missions in a land and facilitate doing your quote-unquote government function, facilitating the genocide in a land, you think that you are free. So, my fellow fighters, that is the second part. Dismantling this machine of this administration of genocide that has been put in our land. Dismantle all of them. All. So you go after them. Destabilize. And then the third is internationalizing the struggle. As I have indicated to you, the Eritreans did not have international support. The Americans did not have international support until the French came to support them. So this is not new that you see genocide backers like Norway and their ilk will go after us, go after the CIC. It is par for the cause. They term Nelson Mandela a terrorist. He could not travel anywhere outside of Africa. They term him, and then a few years after, they celebrate him. My fellow fighters, these are not things, what you see, the effect that it has on us, these are not things that should diminish or hamper the major project that you have in your hand, the project of the liberation of Ambazonia and the safeguarding of our people. Every single block counts. You matter. And no matter how difficult the circumstance is, don't lose hope, because you are not alone. You might be looking at it that you are alone now that ADF is going. No, ADF is not gone down. I've just indicated to you the fighting that is going on in the Bui military district, in comprising the Buindonga region and Gokutunja Boyo region. I have just indicated, and that has been going on. You have seen the images of 1st October, even after the CIC was picked up, of the forces coming out and the people coming out, even the schools coming out. That unwavering faith is still there. Yes, our liberation is not a walk in the park. We will suffer defeats, as the Americans did, as the Eritreans did, as the South Africans did. But what happened with all of these people that I've called them, as the East Timorese did? Because they stood tall. Because they stood firm. Because even though they bent, they did not break. They succeeded. And that is my hope. Not only on the Ambazonian Defense Forces, but in all our genuine liberation fighters. That you man your block. Because your block is as important to the next block as the next block is as important to you. And all of these blocks are important, critical to our eventual victory. And that victory is not far off. That victory is not far off. The darkest hour of the night is before dawn. The arrest of the CIC is a portent of the dawning of our liberation. That is how you should take it. Look, folks, comrades in arms, you are the bravest of us. You are the bravest generation. I want to send you a message that you are not alone. There are thousands of Ambazonians out here in support of you. And I pledge to you that we are going to reach out. That we are going to reach out. And I hope that you not only stand, but that this has opened your eyes of all the fighters, of all the groups, that we are in this together. That there is no white knight coming to save us. That we are the ones who will save ourselves. And because of that, we need to stand together. Look, I know that some of you, the despair that you feel is how some people have tried to use the arrest of the CIC, not as a validation that we are the ones we have been waiting for to liberate ourselves, but to use it as a validation to further divide us and asking you to give up. Asking you to give up. Telling you that, oh no, the CIC was too strong in his words, the CIC was too tough, the CIC was too extreme. Let me pass this, and this not just to you, the forces, but let it spread out in Ambazonia. No genuine Ambazonian. Genuine. I don't even want to say flag waving. No genuine Ambazonian will look at the arrest of the CIC and blame the CIC or where he stood or what he said or that he said this or that he did this or that he called for this. Any Ambazonian whose focus has been that is not a genuine Ambazonian nationalist. If you had made that mistake without thinking, I beg of you to run from that position as if your feet has been set on fire. Because I will ask you a simple question. And that is why I held this in my hand. That is why I held this in my hand. You see that? That is why I look for this. I have so many different copies of this type of stuff that I could bring. That is why I held this in my hand. My fellow Ambazonians, these guys flooded Bambalang. They turned Bambalang a whole areas, biodiversity, people. They drown people and villages. My fellow Ambazonians in Bambalang, they killed thousands of people to build a dam at Lum. It wasn't because the CIC was extreme. They dismantled power camp, dismantled every little bit of our economic stuff and sent to empty the marketing board and send everything to across the Mongo. Right? They sent each patient into Ambazonia and killed hundreds of thousands of us through the AIDS epidemic. They went into schools, sterilized girls so that they could depopulate Ambazonia. They carried out the massacres and Gabu. Massacres. Things that Amnesty International termed crimes against humanity. They have burned over 100 villages in Ambazonia. They burning thousands in their beds. They burn Mami Api. You saw the images of Mami Api burned inside her home. You saw Sam Sawyer's head cut and displayed by them, as thousands have been cut. My fellow Ambazonians, in all of that that was happening, you saw on 1st October how they used helicopters to kill people in Bamenda before the war started. So I ask you these questions, my fellow Ambazonians. If there is one person to arrest on the atrocities Ambazonians had suffered, would that first person be an Ambazonian? That's what I ask you. If they are telling you that it's because of something that Ayabacho has done in Ambazonia, if you want to look after the disaster, the massacres, the genocide in Ambazonia, the first person you would put in jail is an Ambazonian. So you will be the dumbest person on earth to ever stand, and your first question is that, oh, Ayaba said this, oh, Ayaba did that, oh, Ayaba did that, oh, Ayaba did that. Either you are the dumbest person, and why the white man looked at you as animals and took you as slaves, that you will ever advance such a position after the burnings, the massacres, the genocide, the biochemical warfares, the drowning of villages. After all of that, the first person put in jail internationally is an Ambazonian who you cannot even quote his crime, whose crime is to prevent the massacre of Ambazonians. Let's not play that game. We are not dumb. That's okie doke. So every genuine Ambazonian, whether you are AGOFC, ADF, or what these people have done is to tell you that your life doesn't matter to them one bit, and all of you, all should be up in arms. What they just did with Ayaba is to tell you Ambazonians that your life is as, I don't know the words to use, because if I use valueless, it's even less than valueless. That is what they have told you. And if you join them in saying that, oh, it's because Ayaba that, it's because Ayaba that, I just despair of you. So, my fellow fighters, if that is the message, you have heard me. And that is what should go out. There is nothing that any Ambazonian has done that has reached 1 million of what has been done to our people. So don't feel despair that the struggle has been affected, because it's not the struggle. What is at play is not the struggle. It's not the legitimacy of your cause. And so this should push us to the next level. The next level. We need to come together. Stronger together. Because as I said, we are the ones. There is no white knight coming to save us. They are backing La Republique. We are the ones to save ourselves. But as other struggles, as I have read to you today, they stood alone and they succeeded. So have no doubt that we will stand and we will succeed. We just need to come together. So I will open that outreach, and any who want to outreach to us, you know the various people you can contact. We would be in touch as we build this united front for the final battle that wins us our freedom. I always end by telling you people that the road is not easy, but it's a road. Because others have traveled that not easy road and reached that destination, we are not the first. So we just need to reach it. Remember, my fellow fighters, remember why we fight. It is not for individual glory or for fleeting rewards, but for the freedom and the dignity of our people in Ambazonia. For generations that are yet to come. For those who live in a land, where their voices are heard and their dreams are realized. So I end by asking and calling for all of our fighters, all of our people, to set aside our differences and focus on the thing that unites us, making sure that the machine of genocide is dismantled in our land. Let us focus on the unwavering belief in the cause of our liberation, the unity in strength. Because in strength, therein lies our victory. Divided, we will falter. Together, my fellow Ambazonians, we are unstoppable. To the fighters, my fellow comrades in arms, when you feel the weight of this struggle pressing down on your shoulders, remember this. Every step you take forward, every sacrifice you make, those brings us closer to the day when our land will be free. A day when our people will be sovereign, and on that day, all these sacrifices that you make will be honored. May God bless every single one of you in jail, in the field, and may God bless Ambazonia.
Hail this land of glory, we the Amazonians pledge our loyalty. Praise the our Savior who granted us our freedom. And legends to the heroes who fought along with Diablo. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence.